All right, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to the show once again. My name is Mark Harmon, and you are watching the Comic on Demand show. This is the live drawing show where I will draw a 4-panel comic that will look something like this. Ta-da! There it is. But, as you can see, it's blank. That's because I am going to let you tell me what to draw. That's right. So, in this next hour, I'm going to let you tell me what to draw in this 4-panel comic. Sound good? But I do have a couple ground rules first. I try to keep this show PG as possible, so I don't take any suggestions of anything raunchy or lewd or whatever. And I don't take any suggestions of anything that's already has like a copyright, like Superman or SpongeBob or Pepsi or whatever. Okay, so no name brands, no characters that already exist. All right, so get those creative juices going. Okay, think of something cool that I should draw right now. Okay, so get that suggestion ready, and then here's how it's gonna work. The screen's gonna change. You're gonna see a little dancing guy right here, and hopefully at the same time I'm gonna put the word "go" in the chat. Okay, so make sure you can see the chat, and you'll see it'll say Comic on Demand go, and then after you see that, then put your suggestion in, okay? Then I will take the first 2 suggestions that come after that, and I'll use those 2 suggestions to create this 4-panel comic. Sound good? So hopefully it'll be funny or whatever, and hopefully it'll be enjoyable. But it's only as enjoyable as your suggestions, okay? So if your suggestions are dumb, the comic's going to be dumb. But if your suggestions are good, the comic's going to be good. Or it might also still be dumb. I don't know. Anyway, that's how it's going to work. So, let me get my button going here. Okay. So, make sure you're looking at the chat. When you see my thing says go, then put your suggestion in. Okay? Sound good? Let's do it. Okay, boom, those came in quick. Okay, so on my end, the first suggestion is first day of school. And the second suggestion is a rock climber with a fear of heights. Okay, so we have, whoops, wrong button. Okay, I'm going to put those suggestions here at the top so that I don't forget, even though I do every time. What was it? First day of school and rock climber afraid of heights. Whoops. Heights. Okay. You were too soon. You were, well, according to my end, you were too late. You were number 3. Okay. And, before I really get going here, just so you know, it is raining and lightning and stuff outside right now. So, if the lightning does something crazy and my power shuts off, I'm not going to restart the stream. So, if the power cuts it off, well, that's it. Too bad. Okay. First day of school and rock climber afraid of heights. Okay. Let's do... Make sure I'm on camera here. Okay. Okay, let's do this. I'm gonna do like a kind of like a Devil's Tower type of thing here. If anybody's familiar with Devil's Tower, Wyoming, which I live in Wyoming, but I've never been to Devil's Tower. How sad is that? So, but in my defense, I've lived in like one corner of the state, and Devil's Tower's like in the totally opposite corner. So, I mean, it's like 20 hours away or something. Okay, it's not that much, but it's a long distance. That's all I'm saying. I only went to Yellowstone for the first time in my life, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago or something. Okay, those little scribbles are trees. And let's do some. Okay, those little things right there. You see those little things? Those are people. That's how you do a cop out. That's how you draw people that are really tiny or far away. Just draw little dots for the head and then little scribbles. Little lines coming down from the dots like little lollipops or something. It costs money to get close, and you can see it so many miles. It really? You have to like pay like an entrance fee or something? That's lame. Okay. I mean, it makes whatever. It makes sense, I guess, but it's still dumb. Just because it makes sense doesn't mean it's not dumb. You know? Okay. We've got a word balloon here. It's going to say something like, welcome to the first day of... Whoops. Welcome to the first day of... Whoops. Welcome to the first day of rock climbing school. Okay. Now I'm going to draw some kind of a rock climbing instructor. I'm going to make this rock climbing instructor some kind of a sort of a typical granola hippie dude or something. What's Devil's Tower lore? A bear clawed it? I can't remember. Oh, what's Devil's Tower's lore? Got it. I was kind of confused there for a second. For a second, I thought maybe I should get some reference for like a hippie dude, but nah, I think I got it. Although it would be fun to go to Google image search and it'd be fun to go to Google and look at some hippie dudes. Got some ropes slung around with some. These are some carabiners. Okay. Let's see. Look, I actually made room for a word balloon this time. It's almost like I know what I'm doing. Because a lot of the times it looks like I don't. Okay. Today's lesson is jumping off a cliff to test your gear. Now, if you don't know this, I don't really know a whole lot about rock climbing, okay? So this is called a joke. They don't hook you up to stuff and then tell you to jump off the cliff to test the gear. Okay, that's not how rock climbing works. But this is a comic, and that is how it works in a comic. Okay, sound good? All right, disclaimer out of the way, just so you know. Okay. Sorry. There's part of me sometimes that wishes that it would be that I could do this Comic on Demand thing during the day. I mean, I could, but then it's like, could anybody watch if I did it like in the middle of the day? Probably not. So since I do this at the end of the day, well, that means you all get to see me adjust my back. Pardon the bald. Okay. Okay. Now the question is, I'm trying to decide if I want to kind of do sort of a sorry. I want to do sort of like a top down, so we see the top of this. I want to see like the top of this cliff like this. But then I kind of want to I want the view to be looking down into this spot. I just wonder if I can pull it off in black and white here. I have to eyeball some 1-point perspective here. Okay, that's like a road. And some trees. Okay, does that make sense? Where was the worst place or most inappropriate time you have yawned? I don't know. Probably I don't know. There's sometimes I yawn I'm just talking to somebody, just having a conversation, and I'll just yawn in their face. It's just like a one-on-one conversation. I'll just yawn. I'm sure that makes them feel real good. Even though, come on. Is it always because you're bored or tired? Are there other reasons that your body yawns? Is it only to express some kind of boredom or tiredness or something? I don't know. Okay, I need to add some arms here because Okay, so I put the arms up there, so now I can put them down here. I'm sure I've yawned at like a funeral or a wedding or something that's like someone's up there at a funeral giving some sort of heartfelt eulogy or something. And I yawn. I'm sure I've done that. Okay. Here's the full picture here. Still looks kind of tiny. So anyway, welcome to the first day of rock climbing school. Today's lesson is jumping off a cliff to test your gear. And then boom, he gets pushed. And then he's like, I'm not hooked up yet. Whoops. So there it is. We have our first murder on Comic On Demand show. There's a children's book about yawning, and I cannot get through it without yawning. I heard one of those things that's like, if someone yawns and you see them yawn and you yawn, then you're a sympathetic person or something. So, if you're yawning because you see someone else yawn, or you're reading a book about yawning and you yawn too, well, then apparently you're a empathetic person. So there you go. Don't feel bad. Okay. This is the part of the show where we do a mid-suggestion. So just like the first time, you'll see the little dancing guy. I'm going to put go in the chat. And the first one suggestion, is that how I would say that? The first one suggestion. The first suggestion to come in will be the suggestion I'll use to. I'll put it back in here. I'll put it somewhere in here somehow. So anyway, so let's do the mid suggestion. Same rules apply. Nothing raunchy or lewd or whatever, and no copyrighted stuff. And let's get that suggestion. Where's my button right now? We have our mid suggestion of Vampire Bat. Okay. Let's see. Vampire Bats. All right, let's do that. I'm going to stick them Let's stick them right here. Let's do. Hang on, I need to get a little closer to the paper. I can't. I'm getting old, all right? I'm getting kind of blind. I can't see that far away. I need to get like close to my thing here. All right. Can you all see that? Right there. Yeah, isn't it cute? Sometimes, sometimes I feel like my drawings are like a mosaic, right? Like they look good far away, and then as soon as you look at them real close up, then they don't look so hot. All right. Start inking this bad boy. So I don't think that I have any. Oh, okay. Well, this is kind of rock climbing story, sort of. There was a class in middle school that we had that was called Project Challenge. It was this super cool class that basically just did a bunch of cool like activities and stuff. And the sort of big activity that was toward the end of the school year that it was eventually building to was to do the climbing wall, because our middle school at the time had a climbing wall in the gym. And so most people took that class to do the climbing wall. Anyway, but we'd do like other fun games and stuff. But there was also this ropes course type thing over at the high school. So we would walk over to the high school and we'd do this ropes course thing. And there's this one time, you know, you're taught how to belay, which is like, you know, like you are the person that so the person that's climbing the rock wall or whatever, the person that's climbing, the ropes go up and then come back down and they're tethered to a person on the ground, and you're sort of like their brake. Like if they slip, you pull on this rope and they stop, kind of a thing, right? Like you are their safety cable or whatever. So we were doing this ropes course thing, and this I was partnered up with this larger girl. We'll leave it at that. I was very short and tiny, and she was the opposite of that. And so I'm like just down on the ground, sitting on the grass, because this ropes course thing was outside, and I was sitting on the grass, and I've got the rope going from me all the way up to her, up at the top of this thing that's probably, I don't know, 20 feet in the air or something. It was like one of these, it was like a balancing rope thing. And anyway, so she slipped and she falls, and I put on the brake thing, but then I start sliding on the grass towards her. So like she's coming, you know, it's like one of those almost like, you know, the weights where it's like the weight goes up and down and like a teeter-totter. So like she's up here and I'm down here, and she starts falling, and so I start skidding towards her, and eventually, if nothing happened, she would have come all the way down and I would have been up in the air. But then I was like, I'm slipping. And so somebody ran up and came up behind me and grabbed like my belt loops on my pants or something, and they held on, and I was like hovering in the air. It was pretty funny. That was a funny climbing story, I guess. It made me laugh. I don't think you're supposed to pair a tiny person with a big person in that way. I don't think the tiny person is supposed to handle the large person. If you can, well, I was in middle school and I was doing it wrong. Like, I don't think it would have been dangerous or anything. It's just that me and that girl would have swapped places. She would have then been on the ground and I would have been dangling in the air. And then we just would have lowered me down. I think the ropes could work that way. I think it goes both directions, but it's like I don't think I was in danger or anything. It was just funny. See, I don't. It sounds like the girl had a lot of faith in you. I don't think she did. I think we were just paired together because everybody else had a buddy in the class except me and her. Apparently, so it's kind of like well, you two are the last two that don't have a partner, so you're together. So she didn't have any choice but to have faith in me. That one of those hippie rock climbers that goes barefoot? Heck yeah, it is. That's why I give him a headband. To show that he's one of those hipsters. Because hipsters wear headbands. Boop, boop, boop. So this isn't a funny story, but I have this thing where I figure, you know how there's some of those treatments like psychiatrists or whatever use to get people over a fear of something? That's like immersion therapy, where, you know, if you're afraid of snakes or something, well, then they just make you stick your hand in a bucket of snakes or whatever. So I figured, because I'm super afraid of heights. Like, I'm not real great with heights. So I figured that I need to do that whenever I can. I need to, like, do something involving heights, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say. Even though it absolutely terrifies me. So, for example, every time we go to Lagoon, the amusement park in Utah, there's this ride called the Rocket. And it's like one of those big towers that it seats people all the way around the tower. And there's two towers, and one tower, like, you start at the bottom and it shoots you up really quick all the way to the top, and then you come down. And then the other tower takes you up like really, really slow, and you stop at the top, and then you sit there for a second, and then it drops you. So every time we're at Lagoon, I have to ride on the one that drops you, just because it scares the crap out of me. So it's like I figure if I just keep doing it, then I'll get over it. And so a couple years ago, we went to Flaming Gorge. Or no, Lake Powell. It was Lake Powell. Yeah. Sorry, not Flaming Gorge. Wrong Utah Lake. We went to Lake Powell, and we did some cliff jumping. And I jumped off this cliff that was probably about 30 feet. And it, of course, like, it scared the bejeebies out of me. But I felt like I had to do it, right? Because I had to do it because it scared me. And I figure that if I just keep doing things that terrify me, that I'll get over it somehow. But it didn't really work because I jumped off that cliff like 3-4 times, and it was absolutely terrifying every single time. Like, it didn't get easier. I didn't jump off it once and then was like, okay, yay. I jumped off it once and it was terrifying, and then I jumped off it again, it was terrifying, and then I did it again, it was terrifying. It didn't get better. So I don't know, man. I don't think immersion therapy works. That's what I'm trying to say. Maybe it does. I'm just doing it wrong. Or I just have to do it more often, I guess. I can't just do it once a year and be like, okay, I did it. And that's kind of also half the reason why I'm doing this YouTube show. Is because it scares the crap out of me. Like I'm not real keen on showing my face in public. And then drawing in public. And not only that, but not even knowing what I'm going to draw. Like, I just show up and be like, oh, I don't know what's happening. Like, it's actually kind of scary, people. I hope you appreciate how scary this is, okay? Even though as I look around, I'm just alone in my studio. So, I'm alone in my studio talking to nobody. Even though I am talking to you, you're about 20 to 30 seconds behind whatever I say. So in a way, it feels like I'm not talking to anybody. It feels like I'm just talking to nobody alone in my studio into this microphone. And it's really weird. Like at my family reunion thing that I did, one of my brothers asked me, he was like, so what do you do when Comic-Con Demand's over? Like, what do you do after the show? And I guess I was confused as to what his question was even asking. I'm like, what do you mean? What do I do? I was like, I turn off my computer and I go back inside my house and maybe have some ice cream. I'm like, what do you mean? What do I do? I don't. It's like, have you seen the Lego Batman movie? It's like that, in a way, I think. You know how, like, Batman saves the day or whatever and does this great big thing. And everybody's like, oh, man. Oh, like, I can't even imagine the party that Batman's going to have after he just saved the city. And then he just goes home to nobody, to his butler, to Alfred. And he's just sitting there microwaving a lobster just all by himself. Like, that's kind of what it's like. Because nothing would change. Look, if somehow this show just got like Mr. Beast big or something, and if there were like 20,000 people in the chat and millions of people watching or something like that, like, it wouldn't change. It's still just me sitting in my studio by myself talking on a microphone. And then after I'm done, I turn everything off, shut off the lights, and go back in my house. And that's it. It's like, I'm not saying I'm famous now, because I'm not, because I literally get like 30 views per video. So this isn't exactly taking off, but if it did, though, it wouldn't really change anything. At least how the show actually works, it wouldn't change. So whether I have 20,000 or 2 people, the show still works. Because I just take the first 2 suggestions. So as long as there's 2 people watching, the show works. So whether there's 2 or 20,000, I don't care. You're the youngest of many brothers. You were raised in immersion therapy. Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah. Well, with a scraggy beard like that, I wouldn't want to show my face either. It's not that scraggy. It does though, dude. If it gets just a little bit longer than this, it really starts, like, especially on the sides, it really starts going bananas. Hop 3 art. Yeah, you're late. Sorry. I start at 7 o'clock U.S. Mountain Time. So I don't know where you're at or where you're from and what time you're at, but that's what time I start. See, and my wife bought ice cream, so I can go get ice cream. Yo, you killing people off on Comic On Demand again? Again? This is the first. Wait, I haven't killed anybody off on Comic On Demand, have I? That's what I thought. I said this is my first Comic On Demand murder. But see, since you don't actually see him hitting the ground, does he really die? That's what I'm trying to say. Alright, just add some squiggles to make it look like trees. And then we're just about done here. Okay. Well, I think that's it. So let me zoom out here. Boop. Okay. Well, there it is. There it is, people. There's your Comic On Demand of see, I forgot already. First day of school in Rock Climber Flavor Heights. That's what. All right. So there's your five panel. There's your 4-panel comic of first day of school. See, it's climbing school, and Rock Climber Afraid of Heights. And as he should be, because, I mean, look what happened. So he's justified in his fear. You know, see that, people? You're justified in your fears. And, and the mid suggestion of a vampire bat. So there it is. That's the best falling guy. Okay. Anyway, that's it, people. That's the Comic On Demand show. Thanks for showing up, everybody. You're awesome. Seriously, without you, I don't have a show. And thanks for showing up. Thanks for supporting me. Thanks for doing all you do. There's my button again here. There it is. Okay. Anyway, make sure to like and subscribe and share and do all that stuff. And so if you can think if anybody out there has any sort of ideas about how YouTube and stuff works, or if you have an idea of where I should advertise the show that more people might watch, let me know, because I don't know what I'm doing. So anyway, do all that stuff, and thanks for showing up. You're awesome. See you next week.